Hi there. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine, and I'm here today with a little episode of What's on My Desk. I have a few little things to do today, and I wanted to show you what I've done off camera. So I thought I'd turn the camera on. Anyone who follows me on Instagram has probably already seen a little glimpse of the second signature that's going to be going into I'm working on this little baby right now. Bless us everyone, also known as the Cratchit's Christmas. So right now I've got this inside it. I like to give it a little bit of support when it's sitting empty. So it's that book's sitting inside it because I've been cutting up parts of the original text block. And I've been taking it in and out and in and out, and I thought, why am I doing this? So I found a book that's a similar width, and I put that inside. But let's take a look and see. There's going to be 5 signatures. So far, these are the signatures. And let's take a look, see how it is doing. Yes, I'm happy with that. That still gives me a bit more room to grow out a bit. And at nighttime, I'll put it into my page press. That condenses it again and keeps it remembering that I want it to be flat. That's a problem that you can run into with tea-dyed papers, is that even just that teeny tiny crinkle can bulk up your book. So let's let me put you back in there and put you aside. And I'll show you what I've been working on. I played a little bit of magical pages, musical pages, pardon me. It's like musical chairs, only I do it with the leaves of pages. I originally had the pages from that funeral guest book. I originally had it in the first signature, and I decided to move it to the second signature. And I also decided I didn't like the page that I had as the first page. And because I found this in doing my fussy cutting through a whole bunch of Christmas books that I have, I came across this, and that is just so beautiful. So that had to go on the front page of the first signature. So right now I've just got it paper clipped. We're going to glue it in. And I moved what was the original front page to the interior. So here it is here. And I also did a sneaky thing, and it worked. I crossed my fingers and hoped it would work. If you recall, I put this little corner on here, and I glued the whole thing down. I didn't make it a tuck spot. And that's been driving me crazy ever since. So I actually started sort of playing with it and pulling on it and stretching it a little bit. And then I got my ruler out and started going under with the ruler. And before I knew it, I made it into a tuck spot. So it's a little tuck spot now. So where there's a will, there's a way. So that's now, instead of being the front page, it's the center. And I may find something to put here. I may hand make a envelope and sew it into the center here. And if I do, I'll do my best to do that on camera, because it's a tricky thing to do, but it's so cool once you know how to do it, because you use your envelope, you make your envelope out of a sheet of paper, you leave it flat, you sew in your signatures, and then you close up your envelope and glue it shut, and it literally is the center, and you can't see the inside signature threads. And it looks really nice when it's finished. So this is signature 1. I attacked I have a new book of A Christmas Carol. It's from 2005. It's not precious. I got it at my $1 book sale, so I have no problem cutting it up. And in the book A Christmas Carol, the chapters are called staves. And this is a coincidence. It's a happy coincidence. I planned on 5 signatures for this book, and in A Christmas Carol there are 5 staves. So I've cut those off of the first pages of all the staves from this book I have of A Christmas Carol, and I will be making them old and putting them into a Cratchit Christmas Carol. So I've already started with this one. If you saw my Instagram this morning, you'll see that I made the front page for Stave 2, and I love how it turned out. I have a really cool old photo album. Where is it? I wanted to show it to you. I found this album a while ago at my by the pound thrift store, and it's got windows from where the photos should go. I love this. I wish there was a way to reuse that thing, but I know it would just be a nuisance, but that's just so cool. Anyhow, this thing's huge. It's going to take me a long time to get through all these, but what I do is I cut them up and I use them as windows in journals because that's beautiful glassine paper. Isn't that nice? And it was somebody's photo album, because every once in a while you see their handwriting here and there. They didn't put little remarks on everything. There's a funny one back here, and they whited out over it, but you can still see what they had written, and it just made me laugh. Well, here's one she wrote. I'm saying she, I don't know, lazy people. So I'm wondering what the photo was that was in there. And this is the one that makes me laugh, because she took white out and covered it up. But if you look closely, you can see that it says 3 brats. So somebody was obviously on her, in her bad books. Here down it says, "Oh, Fred, stop horsing around." And I don't know, something about, let's see if pigs can swim. So she was obviously feeling cheeky when she was writing salutations for the photos that must have been in there. It was empty when I bought it, so whoever it was took the photos out. And thank goodness they donated this album, because I cherish this, all these glassine windows. So I took one and I made a little window. I wanted the second signature to portray the comfort that faith and the church brought, especially to poor people back in the day, because sometimes if their present circumstances were quite unpleasant, they could at least cling to the hope of, if they held to the rod, someday there would be a better place that they were going to. So I wanted to have a little chapter that was a little churchy. I'm quite sure. I mean, in the story, Bob Cratchit takes Tim to church, and if you recall, he says he was as good as gold, and he hoped that the people would remember Christ healing the sick if they saw him with a crutch. Little tiny Tim said that. So I thought, let's make the front page almost look like you're looking into a window into church. So I found this really pretty picture of a choir singing in a church. And I left it actually was this shape, so I just cut it out in the shape it was. I backed it onto some paper so it can be a journaling spot. And I found some nice burgundy and gold ribbon, and because I wanted it to be beautiful. It's supposed to portray the church. And I made a window out of one of those photo album windows. And then I aged it because I still didn't want it to look, I want this to look like it's from 1843-ish. So I grunged it up a little bit, and I aged the stave 2 because this is the second signature. And I'll show you how I did that when I do stave 1, because I didn't tea dye it. I did it using distress ink. And in the back, I took a liberty. This is Handel's Messiah in the back. And I found a page from my favorite part of Handel's Messiah. I really enjoy the part, and the glory of the Lord. That's my favorite part. So I took a little artistic liberty, and that's what I put behind, so that if you take the choir out of the church, that still looks pretty behind there. So there we go. So that's going to be the front page. Oh, in you go. There. That's going to be the front page of the second signature. The second page here I worked on a bit. This is actually a page out of the actual old book. So I thought I liked the title of this chapter. I've used it, chapter 35. His title was "Deep Are the Purposes of Adversity." And of course, that's very true. That's how you learn. So I covered up the text using some old ledger paper that I tea dyed, and then I made a tuck spot with a mom and the children taking a moment from their chores to read out of a book. I like this one because you can tell that the mother is pregnant, and that's not always portrayed in artwork, old artwork. So I loved that. And then I just tucked another little piece of I tea dyed all this paper. I found a unopened packet of teeny tiny binder paper. I love how tiny even the lines are. So I dyed it all real fast the other night, and I've been using this in places. It's a really perfect size to cover up the text areas on the original pages. Here's one right here. And it looks nice. I love when the holes are still there. So this is a little bit of Edith Holden that I fussy cut. Pardon me. I can't remember which Edith Holden book I got it out of. I think I have all of the books. So it's either out of the Country Diary Herbal or her The Garden Notes, The Edwardian Lady. I don't think it's out of the actual, the main book. I can't remember. Anyhow, that's Edith Holden. Suffice it to say. More ledger paper. I made a little spot here with a little card, and then I cut out the square from a calendar that I have for December. It was a Thomas Kincaid calendar. Beautiful calendar, but I find I'm using the squares more than I'm using his artwork. I love that it's 21 for the winter solstice. And then I still have Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and I'll show you I've already used Christmas Eve. Here's that page again from the actual funeral guest book that I have. So this is also, in addition to being a little notepad, it's also a tuck spot. And this can all be journaled on. So that's coming along nicely. I'm really happy. I think I'm pretty well done. I want to leave a lot of it so that the next owner can either journal or jazz it up. This is... I wanted this picture to go with this hymn. This is out of that 1921 hymn book that I have. And I liked both songs because it is hard work, especially when you're poor. And but the sweet moments, rich in blessing, because even in their poverty, I know they had moments of joy. I mean, definitely the description of the Cratchits' Christmas is still very joyful. I love this, that it's a little tuck spot. So that turned out nice. Washi tape here, but I inked it a bit because it was way too bright. I wanted it to look Christmassy, but it looked way too brand new. And then I added, I love this hymn here. There's a song in the air. So I added some children that are coming back from having cut down some little trees. And I added a little word snippet, and it says, so full of merry music that the crisp air laughed. I thought that was perfect for that little picture. And I left some white cheesecloths, not tea-dyed, because I wanted it to look kind of snowy. I'm not sure if there's anything else here that's changed. Added some, this is the other side of that original page from the book. So I added journaling paper. This is the end from a receipt. It's just the side that usually the person keeps, and then he gives the receipt, or he or she gives the receipt to the person. I made this new side to the paper so that I could run some old ribbon down that through those holes, because that's actually paper that has holes. It was from a spiral book, a whole bunch of pages that Nancy had sent to me. And then to create journaling space here, I added a, what is it called? I'm having a mind blank. When you go to the store and you get a receipt. So, and this also is from Handel's Messiah. And a little roast pig there. So that, I'm very happy with that. And I think signature 2, I'm pretty sure I'm happy to just leave it the way it is. So I have a couple of little things that I want to do. Hopefully the phone won't ring. If it does, I will pause you. I want to make just a little special card for the salutation that was originally in the book. Let me make sure that that is clear. All right. It's the only way that I know that it is at least from 1897. And it was to someone named W.E. Connor. It must be a young man because it says from his father. So, well, I'm assuming a young man. I guess it could be an elderly man who gave it to his son. So, W.E. Connor, it says December 25th, 97. And that must be, it has to be 1897 because this book is old. There's no way it was published in 1997. Not the condition it was in. So I want to make just a little sort of honor the original salutation from this book. And what I found in one of my, I cut up Christmas books all the time. I find them at my thrift stores and I rip them apart and I cut out the beautiful pictures and use them as ephemera. As I said, nothing is, I don't print off digital things off my computer. I buy the books, I cut them up, and I make new things out of them. So this is what they think. Historians think this was possibly the very first Christmas card. This is a tiny version of it, and of course it's a copy. It's out of one of the books I cut up. So what I want to do, unfortunately, it's not the right size. It's not big enough. I wanted to just put it on the back so that it was like that, but this isn't big enough to accommodate that whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a red, and then I'm going to put this on the back, and then it will go into a special tuck spot so that that can stay with the original book. So that's what I'm going to work on today. And that means I need to start trimming. All right, let me get this out. Oh, hold on. I gotta make room. I'm slowly working my way down to, the small 9-inch square working space that I always find myself in once I'm about halfway through a junk journal. My work area gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller till I can't stand it anymore, and then I clean up and get back to work. All right, so let's get this done. Hold on. This is tricky because this wide protector that's meant to protect your fingers sometimes makes it hard to cut tiny things, but I really do like using a slicer to ensure that it is a smooth slice. If it's too tiny, I will get out my my ruler and my blade and cut it with an X-Acto. But this one I can do. I've had a nice morning working up here in my studio. My little dog's happy because I get the heater going, and she likes to luxuriate in front of the heater. And she'll just snooze there happily for as long as I want to work in here. She's very happy to keep me company. Now, let's move this aside for a second. As most of you know, I like to cover that edge. I don't like it white. I see it glaring white at me, and I like it darkened. Even if I'm not, and I'm not going to, if I'm not going to distress the front, I will still just lightly run my ink, my distress ink, just along that tiny, tiny little edge. I really find it makes a difference in giving a nice finished look. All right. So I'm going to want that. I guess my next thing is to decide how big I want this. And then that will determine how big the red background is. All right. So if that's there, I probably want it balanced. Here's where it can be nerve-wracking. I mean, I'm cutting up something that is over 100 years old, and it's beautiful, and I love it. But you got to do it. You can't let things become too precious. I mean, this book was probably next going to be heading for the garbage bin. The story really wasn't all that great. I sort of leafed through it, and it wasn't that precious, or we would have heard about it the way we've heard about War and Peace and Little Women and Anne of Green Gables. Have you ever heard of Thaddeus of Moscow? So, not that we want to mock Thaddeus of Moscow. This is where I feel like we are actually doing a service, because we're honoring the book. We're honoring the people that owned the book, gifted it and received it, and it's going to have a whole new wonderful life, and it's hopefully going to be memorializing some families' wonderful Christmases. And I just think, oh my goodness, you can't get better than that. So, alrighty. Now, again, here we go. That's the original aged edge. And these, because it's been sliced through, that's actually fresh white in there. Because paper, even though it's very thin, it still has dimension. So I want that to be not white. So when I want a really subtle shade, I pull out my antique linen. I love antique linen for when you just need a hint that you don't want something to look white. Glaring white, and I definitely don't want glaring white. So again, I'm just dragging it along the edge. This page is already lovely and aged. There we go. I'm happy. You know what? I think I do want just a tiny little bit. Just going to drag a little hint of it. There we go. All right. So now I've got to decide how big I'm going to make this. What I did, I love the color of this, and I only have a few sheets of it. It's kind of a burgundy red rather than like, here's a rich red, and it's, I mean, here's a candy red, so you can see how many different reds red comes in, and there's more shades than this. I really love for an old classic Christmas look, I much prefer burgundy with the green rather than red with green. I love burgundy with green. So, but this unfortunately is very thin and I wanted it a little bit more significant. So I have already glued two thicknesses together. Now I'm going to use my knife and ruler for this. Let's see how big I want it. Since you're bigger, actually I want a fresh edge on that. Okay, let's do that first. Over you go, W.E. Connor. Because that's the fold. All I did was fold it over and then glue it together. So I want a fresh edge. If I take that much off, oh yeah, I'm fine. All right, so nope. There we go. All right. I already tried this earlier this morning when I didn't have the camera going and I was really unhappy. This is it as a single sheet. And then I thought, oh, well, I'll try and stamp the corners because I've got one of those corner chompers. And every time I use it, I get mad at it. And I don't know why. I need to just throw it out. It just frustrates me because it doesn't always punch cleanly. Anyhow, I was not happy with that. And that's when I chucked it because I thought it needs to be more sturdy. So that's when I thought, okay, I'm going to double it up and I'm going to simplify. I'm not going to try and put a fancy chomper on the corners. All right, so if I go there, a lot of this is eyeballing it, by guess and by golly. Yep, I like that. All right, over you go, W.E. Connor from his father. Nope. Don't be too quick to lift your ruler in case you haven't sliced right through. All right, now I want to make sure that I have a right angle. That doesn't look even. No, it is. Okay. Maybe it's the paper. There's a slight bit of lines on this paper. I'm not sure if you can see it with the camera. So maybe that's what's throwing me off. All right, I want to give this a fresh edge here on this side. And then we'll glue it down. There we go. Let's see where we want it. I want it pretty well there. So that means I want it pretty well. Nope, I didn't plan that right, did I? If that's one, then that's right there, right there. Good. Yes. All right. Now, I'm going to do my old trick again. See how that's not the same shade because it's been cut through. It's lighter. It's a lighter burgundy than the rest of the burgundy. and that bugs me. Now you know why my journals can sometimes take 3 weeks to finish. I gotta lighten up a little. All right, now I'm going to go and glue this, and then I'll explain to you what I've done and why I do what I do sometimes. So I'm going to pause the camera. Let's get that ready, and then I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. When I'm working with some really either very thin or very fragile paper, and I want it to be glued down very smoothly, I actually will spray it with, I like this one. I thought I didn't like it, but I do like it, the Aleene's Tacky Spray. So this has already been sprayed, but then I still don't trust it. I have had times where corners have tried to lift. So then I will, come on you. Of course. Now I gotta leave that. You stay there. I will still go around the edge with the art glitter glue. I won't do the whole thing with art glitter glue because it can leave lines that you can see through thin paper. So I just do a tiny, tiny, see how thin that bead is around the edge? Very tiny. And if necessary, you know me, I get out my Q-tip and I spread that out so that it's not, trust me, that little line can show through and it'll just bug the daylights out of you if you're fussy. So now this is very, very sticky now, and you got to get it right. So here's where we cross our fingers. Let go. All right. And you eyeball it as best you can. And drop it down. And there. And that's how, for me, I will get a pristine, smooth, old paper glued down. And it just, that's how I like it. You can't see the art glitter glue around the edge, but trust me, this stuff it'll hold through. Aliens will find it someday when we're all dead and gone and have destroyed the planet. Aliens will find paper glued with art glitter glue. So now I want to put this little guy on this side. Now this is tougher paper, so I don't mind using a glue stick. I'm gonna put you over there. I don't mind using a glue stick on this paper, but I just find I don't trust glue sticks, so I'll use it for the center. Too often I've gone back to recheck a journal. I always check, double check, and triple check before they go in the mail to their new owner. And I literally start picking at edges. And too often, when I was first trusting glue sticks, I found that they're not trustworthy. At least not to my liking. So I will go around the edge with the art glitter glue. There's just no need to use it in the center. The glue stick will hold somewhat, but the art glitter glue is, I find, absolutely will hold those edges, and that's what's important. And then the glue stick will hold the center down. There we go. Oh, we're going to get cut off in 4 minutes, so I better hurry up now. If I got that right, that's right. Okay, and then this. Sorry if I'm not centered, but I'm running out of places that don't have wet glue. I want you centered. There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going to put you. You're going to go into a nice tuck spot. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. That looks nice. All right, you know what? I'm going to cut this off here, but I think I'm going to do a part 2 because I still have some more work to do. And I did say that I was going to show you how I age stave 1. So I'll be back. Thanks for visiting. Bye.